What's going on, everyone? Welcome back. Forretress is a Pokemon that I really wanted to try out here in this new season. I know a lot of people had high hopes for it at the start of the meta, but it seems like it wasn't quite as good as people might have imagined. With that said, I feel like it's still a very solid Pokemon, a great anti-meta pick, and I wanted to give it a go today. Let's get into the battles and see what this Pokemon can do. Here we go, first game of the day. We have Shadow Kanto Marowak as our lead into a Shadow Caesar. Very neutral matchup. Let's see who can come out on top. I know at this point, the longer this goes, the better it gets for our Mudslapper. Even if they boost, we should still be able to farm them all the way down in the 2-shield matchup. In comes our first move here from the Shadow Caesar. I can shield the Night Slash, likely not a Trailblaze. Either way, it would basically knock us out. They do boost, so I guess we'll be putting our money where our mouth is and seeing if we can, in fact, still win this matchup. Bone Club actually knocks them out here, so they don't invest in their boosted Shadow Caesar. In comes an Azumarill. I don't want to give a farm down over. I have two Pokemon in the backline that are at least manageable into Azu, so I might as well swap out, and we end up baiting out a Cradilly. I'm going to go for a nasty Sparkling Aria bait. I would assume they have to shield at this point, which is exactly what ends up happening. What this means is now we can outpace him to the next Ice Beam, likely get either both shields or a critical amount of damage against this Grass-type Pokemon. The best thing about this matchup is while Grass and Ice, or Grass and Rock rather, are super effective into our Water and Ice-type Pokemon, Ice Beam is still super effective into them, and they can't really farm us down here with the Acid Fast Move pressure. In comes the next move here to knock us out, but we have put in so much work with Lapras at this point, I don't really need to keep it around. I know Forretress should be able to farm this down, and should be able to put in enough work into Azumarill to win this game. Azu might end up having a move like Hydro Pump. I'd be kind of surprised, though, if that were the case, and we can see here our Bug Bites are chipping away at them very slowly, because it is resisted, but it will add up quite a bit over time. We also have energy on our Shadow Kanto Marowak in the backline. We have the ability to spam out these debuffs, and I don't expect them to actually be on Hydro Pump here. In comes the play rough against us, and then we threw a Rock Tomb against them before they can even land the charge attack, because we still have that shield ready to go, or we did end up having it. In comes the next Rock Tomb. I think at this point our opponent likely has given up this game. They aren't throwing energy in there, almost at 100. And yeah, we're just going to go for the Bug Bite down at this point. Forretress able to close out this first game of the day. GG there to our opponent. Next matchup, Shadow Kwak up against a Shadow Annihilate. Very similar matchup here to the Shadow Caesar matchup, where we both do a lot of fast move pressure back and forth, although Shadow Annihilate well known for its guaranteed boosts using Rage Fist. I would assume that's what's about to be thrown here, saying that was 7 counters. It could be an Ice Punch, I suppose, but no, the guaranteed boost will be used by our opponent. In comes our first Bone Club. The second one will follow very shortly after. In comes a move likely a shield here from the monkey. We do see the shield. In comes the next Bone Club right before they get to another attack. And the thing is, I do want to neutralize this Pokemon as quickly as I can. Our backline is not necessarily well equipped to farm this Pokemon down. They do farm us all the way down here, which is a little bit awkward, but I come with our Forretress, go for the Bug Bite down. I have a lot of play in the backline, hopefully, once this fighting type Pokemon is out of the way. Interestingly, they actually Ice Punch us there, which means that maybe Lapras could have been a funnier Pokemon to come in with. They come in with the Talonflame, not a great Pokemon to see as a Forretress, and in the back is going to be a Furret. This is looking all right for us right now, and I know Rock Tomb on our Forretress should be enough damage to knock out that Talonflame. As long as we can take care of this Furret, we should be in a good spot. In comes a move here from our opponent, likely going to be a Trailblaze. I'm going to let it go. I want to rely on our Forretress at this point. I think there is a play where we can farm down this Furret with our Bug Bites, get a Rock Tomb against that Fire and Flying type Pokemon, and take down one of the worst matchups we could see. In comes a Sparkling Aria. We get the Undercharge here. I don't really want to knock them out, though, so I'm going to stop tapping for just a second. But we get denied a Bug Bite, which could be kind of bad. This might make it so they can swap out now to their Talonflame, and honestly, potentially, I've thrown this game if I can't reach a Rock Tomb here. Yeah, unfortunately, a little bit of bad plays here by the end of the game there. I wanted to finish it off with Forretress, should have just invested in Lapras, but GG to our opponent. Next game, Shadow Marowak into the Shadow Marowak, but they're using the shiny, I'm using the regular. Let's see who wins CMP. It's actually going to be our opponent here, which makes things just a little bit uncomfortable. I'm going to no-shield the first move. I know at this point our backline is not necessarily weak to this Pokemon. While we do have a Steel type, the Bug type is going to neutralize the Ground type weakness that Steel types generally have. We do draw a shield here with that first Bone Club, and unfortunately get slapped down right before I reach another Bone Club against them. This is a little bit awkward. I think coming in Lapras is likely going to be the play, because at this point we'll force them to either go for Rock Slides or Bone Club baits, whereas they just go straight Bone Club into our Forretress. In comes the Bone Club. Of course, they're going to bait us there. I don't like to see that, but at this point, they will throw another move here. I think at this point, that's just another Bone Club. I can no-shield this once again, and hopefully go for a full farm down before another move will be reached. Bone Club puts us down into the yellow. These Mud Slaps adding up, putting us almost into the red, but we have about 100 energy on this Pokemon, and we are met by a Bastiodon. Forretress in the backline, though, going to try its best to core break the Bastiodon Mandibuzz duo. Bug Bites here, kind of shredding through the HP of this Mandibuzz, and Rock Tomb is super effective, and it will also debuff their attack stat. They let it go, and I think at this point, the win condition is pretty obvious. I just have to go for a farm down against this Pokemon, go for Earthquakes, Sparkling Arias, and whatever fast food pressure I can get into that Basti. They are going to be able to two-shot us here because they are running Dark Pulse, it looks like. So despite our debuff, their damage is still going to add up quite a bit against us. In comes the Aerial Ace. We are going to shield up this time. But I mean, at this point, we can still farm down before the next move will be reached. Let's see what our opponent's going to do here. I know I could go for a bait, but I also know that would be incredibly risky if they end up letting it go. We go straight for the Earthquake. Our opponent going to try to call it here. At this point, they're in Bug Bite down range even. Our Forretress can go for the full farm down or force them to throw energy. At this point, we can Psywave down with our Lapras, and this game should be ours. This could have been a little bit tricky if they did end up shielding that move, but because they got the no shield on the attack here, we're able to close out that game. GG to our opponent. Next matchup, we've seen a lot of fast move pressure here in the lead. Shadow Annihilate, but once again, let's see if our opponent's going to play it out the same way. Maybe they're going to let it go a little bit earlier, or maybe they will invest shields like we've been seeing. In comes a Rage Fist. Almost certainly Ice Punch would knock us out from this range, but Rage Fist is just the guaranteed play here the longer this matchup goes. They actually clear their own boost, funnily enough, come in with a Furret, and I mean, I have the perfect Pokemon to sponge energy on from this Pokemon in the backline. I go for a Bone Club, so I put them into a perfect farm down range with our Forretress, and then I can absorb all the energy here. I still have energy on my Marowak, and we should be in a very good spot, depending on what their final Pokemon might be. Another move is going to be reached here. Swift is going to be resisted, but Sucker Punch damage does add up against us. So despite the resistance to the moves, it's not like we're taking zero damage here. In comes the full farm down. Our opponent is thinking about what to do. In comes the Annihilate, and I know at this point, Rock Tomb, while it's not going to be enough to knock out, it should put them into a range where I can farm them down with whatever else I might have. We're going to go for the full farm down here. We don't quite get it, but at this point, I can let our Forretress go farm down with either Lapras or our Shadow Marowak, and we should be able to be in a good spot in this game. In the backline is a Greninja. All right, a little bit of a tricky Pokemon now that our Forretress is out of the way, but I think we're still in a very playable spot. While we are weak to Water-type damage, and while our Lapras in the backline only has resisted damage against this Pokemon, as long as we avoid boosts, we should be in a good spot to go for Mud Slap damage, Bone Clubs to draw shields, and to slap them down into a range where an Ice Beam or a Sparkling Aria could still be enough to knock them out. We go for the Mud Slaps here, put them down to about half HP. I know Ice Beam does about 40% of a Greninja's HP here, so at this point the Psywave should add up enough as long as I can reach the Ice Beam before 3 Night Slashes, or if they boost, potentially 2 Night Slashes. I should stop talking about the boost. That is a good way to manifest it here. First, Night Slash didn't boost, the second one as well did not. In comes the third move from our opponent, and once again, no boost. Love to see it. Ice Beam is reached. Is this enough damage to knock out the Greninja? It's going to be close. In comes a move. Down goes the Greninja, and we Sidewave down the Annihilate. GG to our opponent. Next game, Marowak into Annihilate. Geez, I guess that's the only Pokemon we're going to see today. Once again, though, very happy to see it in the lead matchup. If I can get rid of this Pokemon for our backline, we know that we should be in a good spot. In comes a Rage Fist against us. It will ramp up their attack stat. We've seen this matchup before. We know we can get to 2 Bone Clubs here in the 1 shield matchup. Our opponent, if they want, can probably 2 shield through us and just barely win the 2s. But no, they end up letting that go. In comes a Guzzlord, and I know while I can stay in this matchup, it feels like maybe saving our Marowak for later on this game and just hard pivoting here to our Fortress now that the Annihilate is gone could be a good play. And it looks like that is the right play to make because Furt is the final Pokemon on our opponent's team. They go instantly for a Swift, which is not going to do any damage to us, but it will be thrown right before my debuff, which is likely a smart play by them. Rock Tomb is maybe going to draw a shield. Honestly, at this point, they probably do have to shield this up. This is their best way to take down our Fortress. Bug Bites would shred through that Dark-type Pokemon in the back, and because we're able to survive the next Swift here as well, I think maybe we can draw a second shield just going straight Rock Tomb. Swift will be thrown into us. We survive that extremely easily. Rock Tomb should be thrown now. This will knock out or draw the final shield from this Furret, and depending on what they do here, I think swapping to Lapras is just a very consistent play. We do have Ice Beam here for the Guzzlord. Our opponent is going to go for the CMP against us here. They do win it, but I know at this point save shields for that Trailblaze, and I can probably farm down that Furret if I need to with our Marowak. We survive anything a Guzzlord's going to throw. Ice Beam should knock them out here, and this is going to be Guzzlord going away, making it so our Marowak has a clear path to go for a full fast move farm down. I feel like at this point, our lose condition is shielding this up, giving them like a huge farm down or something against us. I don't even know. I don't think they have a win condition at this point, but we don't want to take any risk. Just save the shield for our Mud Slapper, slap them all the way down, and we can take the win. GG to our opponent. Next game is a Shadow Caesar in the lead, continuing on the streak of just high fast move pressure Pokemon in the lead matchup. Mudslap here going to add up just a little bit quicker than the bullet punches, although they will outpace us to the first Night Slash, which will potentially boost their attack step, but maybe at this point I won't get unlucky enough that they would actually get the boost. They say swap a Cradilly, and Forretress loves to see this Pokemon. We know Bug Bite is super effective into the Grass type, and we resist the Poison type damage from this Pokemon. Rock Tomb, while it is going to be able to neutralize my attack stat just a little bit here, we're still doing quite a bit of fast move pressure, and because we were able to survive 2 moves from this Cradilly, this matchup is one of the best that Forretress could see. Rock Tomb debuffs them, so we're going to take even less damage now from their next Rock Tomb. We should be able to farm them down as well if they do stay, and they might swap out if they don't want to give us a whole bunch of energy. Maybe they can't even swap out just yet. The switch clock might not be up. In comes what here from our opponent? Actually going to be a Water Gun Lantern. Very interesting Pokemon. I have a lot of energy on our Marowak. I feel like at this point, save our Forretress, clear that debuff, and make it so maybe I can switch lock something in the end game with a debuff, potentially. In comes a Bone Club into... did they catch that move, actually? I think they might have onto the Shadow Caesar. Good play by them, but Mudslap damage is doing quite a bit. And while Lantern in meta's past has been one of the best counters to Pokemon like Lapras, since this is a Water Gun variant, I know we're not in that big of a issue here where I can go for a Rock Tomb debuff against them. If they don't shield this move, go for 2 Sparkling Arias into them. If they do shield the move, well, I guess also just go for 2 Sparkling Arias into them, and we should be able to win the game. They do no shield here, and because they don't have anywhere near enough energy to get to 2 Thunderbolts, we should be fine. Water Gun is resisted here, and Water Gun also generates energy extremely slowly. We can actually just knock them out here with that Sparkling plus the Psy Waves. They realize not much they can do. GG to our next game, Marowak into Azumarill, an absolutely terrible lead matchup, but we do have 2 Pokemon in the back that can deal with this. We say swap our Lapras and are met by a Shadow Typhlosion. Now this Pokemon is extremely frightening for our Lapras here. I don't think I have enough of an energy lead to win the 2-shield matchup. I think you need like 5 Psy Waves of a lead, and unfortunately I only have like 3 here, which means we can't even outpace to the second move. They're already at the next Thunder Punch, and because Typhlosion is always going to keep switch here this game, I'm kind of thinking of trying to make a catch in just a second. If I can catch a move here on our Marowak, we might be on a good spot. The problem is I know this trainer's team. I've played him a couple of times here in the last couple of days. There is a Shadow Kanto Ninetales in the backline, so I absolutely need to keep my Lapras alive and to make this catch here on a Typhlosion. No, it doesn't quite work out. And since I know it's another fire type in the back, there's really no reason to play that one out. We're going to lose that game. GG to our opponent. Next matchup is going to be Mandibuzz in the lead. Not my favorite lead matchup here, but I mean, it looks like Lapras is a pretty safe swap into this team. Another Pokemon weak to Ice-type damage here in the back. Ice Beam, if it goes unshielded, will put them into potentially Psy-Wave down range. They do let it go, which kind of does surprise me here. I can survive whatever they're going to throw. Grass Knot would do a bit more raw damage, but they opt for the Rock Tomb debuff, which might also be a smart play. We're going to overfarm as much as we can here to potentially reach a move against whatever they're going to either farm us down with, or if they do want to throw a move to knock us out now, we've still done a lot with our Lapras. No, they do let that go, so switch advantage is now ours. They come in with their own Shadow Marowak. I wish I could have reached a move there, but they do slap us down right before the next Sparkling Aria will be reached. In comes a Bone Club, and I think I see a guaranteed win condition in this game. It's just the fast move pressure against this Pokemon. I just 2-shield this. I'll have a lot of Rock Slides for the Mandibuzz, as well as Bug Bite damage and Rock Tombs in the back with our Forretress. They do swap out, though, maybe trying to catch a Bone Club on this Mandibuzz. We land a full-on Rock Slide there, putting them into the yellow with our Bug Bite damage as well. And while these moves will start chipping down Forretress, we can reach the Rock Tomb in just a second. They do have Dark Pulse, which chips us down just a little bit more than a Foul Play or an Aerial Ace will, but because we can get to another Rock Tomb here in just a second, this game is looking pretty grim for our opponent. They could shield us up if they want to, but if they end up doing that, then I still survive the next move they throw from Mandibuzz, so they let it go. They're going to invest in their Marowak, but because I'm able to do so much Bug Bite fast move pressure here and get a Rock Tomb debuff, there is no chance that they have to win this game. Rock Tomb ends up drawing that shield, Bug Bites shredding through their HP, and now 2 Mudslaps will finish off their opposing Shadow Kanto Marowak. In comes the Bone Club. Even if we didn't have the shield after the debuff there's nothing that they could have done to knock us out, and we're able to win that game. Next matchup is a Primeape in the lead. Honestly, not my favorite lead matchup here. The non-Shadow Primeape can make things kind of tricky, because if I throw a single charge move here, there's actually a chance that they can get to a 3rd Rage Fist. I'm going to go for the full farm down 2 shield, don't throw a single charge move, don't give them any free turns. As long as I can slap them all the way down, then this Pokemon is not going to be that bad for our backline. But if they do get the final move off, that would be absolutely catastrophic. We do farm them all the way down. We have almost 100 energy here on our Shadow Kanto Marowak. They come in with a Quagsire, which I guess is a decent Pokemon for our team here. I have a lot of Mudslap damage, as well as a lot of Bone Club damage to get off. We already got 1 Bone Club. We have 2 more loaded. Our opponent is going to have to start shielding their Quagsire if they're not sacking it completely. but this is the non-Shadow Quagsire. It's going to survive just a little bit better than its Shadow variant. I could see another no-shield here from our opponent. Yeah, they do let it go. They're going to knock us out, but we have put this into Psywave or Bug Bite downrange, which means I think we might be in a good spot still. Aquatail ends up knocking us out. Bug Bite, Fast Move Pressure knocks out the Quagsire right before the next Aquatail will be reached, and we see a Clodsire, so the double Sire team here in the backline. This is looking pretty good for us. Our Lapras obviously is going to have a lot of play with only super effective damage to throw into this Pokemon. They go for the Stone Edge here first, I guess trying to see if they need 2 Stone Edges or to see if they need the Stone Edge plus the Earthquake, but it is very important information to learn that they are actually running Stone Edge rather than Sludge Bomb. They do have a bit more play into our Lapras than I might like. With that said, there is a chance we still survive the Earthquake. Forretress is pretty bulky. They don't have a lot of fast and pressure into us. We do survive. We get the Rock Tomb, which while we don't necessarily need this, it's going to guarantee that 2 Stone Edges will not knock out our Lapras, and it will be a bit more chip damage to guarantee they're also in range where an Ice Beam will knock them out. Throw a Charge Attack. Likely, they just want to see how much damage this is going to do after that debuff. In comes the Stone Edge. Not even half of our HP here. Ice Beam going to be reached in just a second, and they end up top lefting. GG to our opponent. Not much they could have really done there in the back. Next game, Shadow Galaric. An interesting pick, I guess, in this meta, but I think this is a matchup that we've seen play out very similarly to other very squishy Pokemon in the game, where I just have to shield farm them all the way down here. This Pokemon's actually so squishy where I think I only need to invest 1 shield. They won't even get to a second charge attack. They agree. They come in with the Furret because they know the full slapdown is going to happen, and we've seen how this matchup plays out. I'm going to go for the Bone Club, swap into my Forretress to absorb all the energy, and hopefully have energy for the backline whenever they bring in something that might try to absorb the Rock Tombs or maybe the Earthquakes that I might have. In comes the Trailblaze actually this time. I actually really like that play here from our opponent because the charges are always going to be resisted, but by boosting up your damage on the next Swift as well as the Sucker Punches, you do just a little bit more damage against the Fortress. I think that is a very efficient play and a very heads-up play there from our opponent. In comes the Shadow Galaric. We go for the Rock Tomb. I hope this is enough to knock them out at this point. If it's not, then I guess that could be a little bit awkward. No, it does knock them out. They come in with their own Shadow Fortress. I don't think I'm going to be able to reach a move. I swap out, and I need to reach 2 Bone Clubs. If I can, we should be able to win this game. Bone Club number 1 is going to draw the shield. Bone Club number 2 is going to be reached, but no, at the last second, we get farmed down, and that could be kind of catastrophic for our chances of winning this game. This Pokemon obviously has access to Rock Tomb. They can debuff my attack stat, which I do not want to see here, but I think at this point, I just have to shield this up, go for my Sparkling Aria, and hope that either I can reach a second Sparkling Aria, or potentially that I can reach another move on my Forretress in the endgame. Sparkling Aria ends up getting the shield here, so if I can reach another move on either of my Pokemon, we might be able to win this one, but I'm not sure either Pokemon are going to last long enough to reach a move. In comes our Forretress here. Rock Tomb on 1 HP once again, just like our Marowak got sniped down. Super close game, 1 HP on 2 Pokemon on those moves. GG to our opponent. Next game, Shadow Quagsire in the lead. This is a very interesting matchup where, while we are going to take super effective damage from the charge attacks from this Pokemon, as long as we have shields here, Marowak does not care. It can get as much faster pressure as we need to chip down this Pokemon, and while they will win the 2-shield matchup very barely, it won't be enough to have any sort of energy or health for my backline. Mudslaps are adding up once again, our opponent going for an Aquatail into us, and because it is Shadow into Shadow, it would basically knock us out. Aquatail does draw a shield, in comes the next Bone Club, and this should either draw the shield or KO the opposing Ground-type Pokemon. In comes the Bone Club, in comes the shield from our opponent, and now our Mudslaps will chip them down into range where we can Psywave or Bug Bite them all the way down. It's going to be kind of interesting. Which Pokemon do I think is going to be better with an energy lead? I'm kind of thinking maybe our Lapras could have a lot more flexible play. I don't want to show my Fortress just yet. That Pokemon might be a better surprise pick for my opponent to have to deal with later on. What are they going to bring in? They end up bringing in a Shadow Drapion, which is a very interesting Pokemon. It's not necessarily something I'm scared of here, but because I don't have enough of an energy lead to get to 2 Sparkling Arias before 2 Crunches, I think at this point swapping out to our own Forretress, getting the Bug Bite damage, putting him into Sparkling Aria range, and forcing more energy here could be a good play. Crunch coming through, it will do a decent amount of damage to our Forretress because honestly, Crunch is still very powerful. Forretress, while it is bulky, is not bulky enough to survive, and they catch the Rock Tomb on a Tinkaton. Insane play here by our opponent. That's going to mean now that's a lot of energy down the drain for us, but maybe I can still reach an Earthquake and win this match. Their attack has been lowered, so I think that means there is a chance I can survive a Bulldoze or a Play Rough, whatever they want to throw. The Play Rough would do a bit more raw damage, but no, they go for the Bulldoze to attempt a debuff. They don't get it, and the Earthquake will still be reached. This is going to be a tight endgame, but I think at this point the Shadow Drapion is not quite yet at a move. We can farm down this Tinkaton with our Psywaves, go for either an Ice Beam or a Sparkling Aria, whatever move we have access to on our Lapras, and we should be able to win this one. In comes that Drapion. They tried to go for the Undercharge to get more energy on this Pokemon, but we swapped out at the same exact time, sniped down the Shadow Drapion, and farmed down the Tinkaton. GG to our opponent. Next game, Shadow Marowak into Shadow Dusknoir. Very cool Pokemon to see here. I don't know exactly how this one plays out. I would assume I can just farm this down. It seems like that's been the play for most of the day so far. In comes a Bone Club into the Dusknoir. This should draw a shield, but our opponent almost certainly will shield and then get 2 Shadow Punches off against us. We know at this point they will survive the Mud Slap damage at least a little bit longer than most Pokemon that we've been seeing, because Shadow Dusknoir is not as squishy as a Pokemon like Shadow Caesar, so 2 moves have been reached. I'm hoping I can Mud Slap down in 2 more Mud Slaps here. Our opponent is actually able to barely survive, so I'm going to snipe them down with a single Sidewave, save a bit of HP on our Marowak if we can, and we end up baiting out a Shadow Jumpluff. Now, this is going to be a very good matchup as long as our opponent doesn't know what move I have here. If they want to respect the Sparkling Aria, I would be very happy, or the Ice Beam rather, we go for the Sparkling Aria bait. And since we actually do have Ice Beam here, there's a chance our opponent might not even respect the fact that we could have the attack. They go for Acrobatics, it puts us pretty low, but even if they try to swap out, the switch clocks are pretty decent. They do swap out into their own Lapras, but the thing is here, I can just bank an Ice Beam, have it for the backline, and as long as I can knock out this Lapras, we should be able to win this game. In comes the Sparkling Aria. It will chip down the Lapras at least a little bit here into range where a Rock Tomb from our Forretress should easily knock out. And while they will reach 2 charge attacks, the non-Shadow Lapras is not quite able to 2-shot the Forretress, meaning we can take the energy, go for the Rock Tomb. We have the Ice Beam loaded in the backline, and I think our Shadow Marowak will also force energy from them if they do want to knock us out. So this game is looking pretty good for us. Rock Tomb coming through, this will knock out the Lapras, and as long as we don't like lag a turn or something in the end game, this game is completely over. They can't even farm us down here. It looks like they have to throw energy. They realize not much they can do. They end up top lifting, and we're able to win in that game. GG there to our opponent. Nice little 3-2 set here to end off the day. New season high, I think, 2787. We've been kind of dancing around this elo range the last couple of days. Queue times have been so bad. I actually went 13 and 12 today, and I didn't gain basically any elo overall. It was kind of crazy because I know I got a lot of down pairs, but I also had a lot of up pairs, so I guess at this point, just not a lot of people playing the Go Battle League, probably because it's Go Fest weekend here, so people are doing something a bit more important than playing their GBL sets. But either way, a very fun day with Forretress. I don't know if it's hard meta, but it does feel like a very good anti-meta pick right now, so give it a go if you want to try out a very bulky bug bite user. Alright, well, thank you so much for watching, take care, and I'll see you in the next one.